دائما ما كانت عملية تطوير الأسلحة تشكل تحديات كبيرة، تحديات للجيوش من جانب وتحديات للشركات المصنعة لهذه الأسلحة من الجانب الآخر. الجيوش دائما ما تبحث عن حلول دفاعية تتناسب مع التحديات أو التهديدات التي تواجهها، في حين أن الشركات تعمل على توفير حلول تتناسب مع المتطلبات المتعددة للمستخدم. وبين هذا وذاك هناك من يتهم شركات الأسلحة بتأجيج الصراعات حول العالم لتحقيق المزيد من المكاسب. للوقوف أكثر على طبيعة العلاقة بين الشركات المصنعة للأسلحة والجيوش على مستوى العالم تنضم إلينا من التشيك الدكتورة كريستينا سوكوبوفا، رئيسة مركز الأمن الابتكار للأمن والدفاع. أولا دكتور كريستينا، أهلا بك معنا في عسكريتاريا. بداية، كيف يمكن تقييم طبيعة وشكل العلاقة ما بين الجيوش من جانب والشركات المصنعة على الجانب الآخر، تحديدا في مرحلة تطوير أي سلاح؟
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Well, it really depends. It differs from country to country. Sometimes it differs even within one country from the type of force to another type of force. So, for instance, the Air Force can have a completely different relationship with companies than the Navy, you say. Some countries and some military organizations choose very strict and law-framed relationship where everything is controlled, everything is recorded and archived so that corruption is prevented. Some countries and some military organizations, on the other hand, are much more prone to have a collaborative structure where companies are directly engaged. Sometimes we can even see that companies are invited to be based at military bases permanently, so that communication is ensured, and the end user, in other words, the soldier, can communicate his or her needs and requirements directly to the provider.
طيب دكتور كريستينا، فيما يتعلق بتطوير أي منظومة دفاعية أو أي سلاح، هل هذا يتم بناء على متطلبات الجيوش أم بناء على التكنولوجيا المتوفرة لدى الشركات؟
This has been changing dramatically and dynamically over the past decade, I would say. Whereas during the Cold War, we were more used to the military having almost a monopoly over state-of-the-art technology and then releasing some of the tech to the civilian world. You take Teflon, for example, or even things like Skittles. These were military inventions. Now we see more and more companies being much more able to develop faster than the military is able to give the requirement. So we see companies quite regularly coming to the military and offering a ready-made product.
طيب، بالنظر للثورة التي نراها الآن في مجال الصناعات العسكرية، كيف لنا أن نتوقع شكل مستقبل الأسلحة وكذلك الأسلحة المستقبلية؟ كيف ستكون؟
That's a very important question. Thank you for asking. I don't know. There are entire teams thinking about what the battlefield of tomorrow is going to look like. Everybody is holding their breath looking at what is happening in Ukraine. But I've been part of teams that included sci-fi writers to give the military a out-of-the-box idea what the future is going to look like. Because ordering military equipment takes years, and then it takes many more years to actually make it, to produce it. So we're talking horizons. Now we're looking at 2040, maybe 2045. There are arguments that the next battles are going to be in human brains, that we are so connected through cyberspace that the human mind is becoming a battlefield. There are also arguments that tanks are here to stay with us. Simply, I don't know. I'm too scared to guess.
طيب، هل تعتقدين بأنه سيلعب الذكاء الاصطناعي دور أكبر من الدور الذي سيلعبه حاليا في مستقبل هذه الأسلحة؟
Absolutely, absolutely. Artificial intelligence, quantum technologies. We're looking into things like 3D printing, something that you can 3D print your chess pawns, but you can also 3D print parts to a tank, for instance. So NATO right now has identified various groups of what we call emerging disruptive technologies, where AI plays a huge role, that should disrupt or are here to disrupt the way we fight our wars and the way we produce our systems.
طيب دكتور كريستين، يعني لسنوات كانت هناك اتهامات توجه لشركات الأسلحة بأنها تساهم بشكل مباشر أو غير مباشر في تأجيج الصراعات حول العالم للحصول على المزيد من المكاسب. هل تعتقدين بأن هذا الأمر يحدث بالفعل أم أنها مجرد نظرية من نظريات المؤامرة لا أكثر ولا أقل؟
There is always an economic winner and a loser to any war. This is as true as it is that warfare is with us from the dawn of humanity. We've seen people making money in conflicts in very, I would say, immoral ways, starting from stealing food aid and then selling it to their own people. Most recently, taxi drivers coming to the Ukrainian border to drive desperate refugees, only to charge them a lot of money and dump them in the woods a couple of kilometers away. But do I believe whether there is a evil board of defense industry owners and managers somewhere deciding where the next war is going to be? No.
طيب دكتور كريستينا، الآن الكثير من الدول باتت تسعى لاستقلالية في صناعاتها الدفاعية، لكن يعني إذا أردنا أن نرسم خريطة لأي دولة تريد أن تسير في طريق تقوية صناعاتها الدفاعية المحلية، كيف سيكون شكل الخطوات التي يجب على أي دولة اتباعها؟
The first and foremost, defense industry is very much dependent on good research and development base. Educate people. You need engineers, or any country that wants a good quality defense industry that is forward-looking and progressive and competitive needs to have engineers, and they need to have the brains to actually fuel the defense industry. Without it, it won't work.
في إطار القطاع العام أم في إطار القطاع الخاص أم يعني كلاهما معا؟
It needs to be a combination. We see it now, especially with, as I mentioned, with the end of Cold War. A lot of the military is now reliant on civilian companies. For us as innovators, civilian and non-traditional partners are the key players right now. Because, for instance, cyber defense and cybersecurity, that is something that we need to communicate with the private sector or public universities.
دكتورة كريستينا سوكوبوفا، رئيسة مركز الابتكار للأمن والدفاع، شكرا جزيلا على كل ما تفضلت به من توضيحات.